K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com. K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Off the Grid.
And he's also the only person I've ever seen that could write, "My dog just rolled over" on Facebook and get like 62 likes.
I'm also, just a correction, I'm the best looking person in social media too.
Off the Grid with Matt Hochman and Beckett Adams.
You have men in the United States Army running for cover and hoping the police show up.
You know, the base is a soft target that's filled with brave Americans, but they got their hands tied.
I'm sure the jihadists completely consider it a soft target. It's like a shopping mall, or like you said, a school. It's probably worse than a shopping mall, because at least here in Arizona, you're allowed to carry.
In several of these shootings, Jared Lautner in Arizona, the Sandy Hook shooting, a number of these shootings always involved somebody who was desperately unhealthy in the head, but for some reason, the argument always turns into, get away from my gun. What can we do to maybe help people like this?
New day, same time. Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Only on the 405media.com.
You're on the 405.
One shot, baby, there you go again. 2 shots and I think you know again. 3 shots come, you might find your daddy gone. 1 shot, baby, there you go again. 2 shots.
Welcome to Unapologetically Funny. I am your host and an apparent fame whore, but always charming and lovely, Bunny. And tonight my show will focus on gamergate. Something I admittedly do not know enough about, but which is why the reason I'm doing it. And I'm bringing in experts like Ash and DaddyWarpig in the second half of the show to talk about it. And I'm sorry, but his name is awesome, Warpig. As a rabbit, I totally respect his name. And Ash, of course, is darling and absolutely brilliant. And both of them will join me in the second half to talk about gamergate. You know, I think it's one of those things where we see it all the time, especially if you're in social media and you're like, yeah, I get it, but then you don't get it. And so I will admit I don't get it. I know that it pisses a lot of feminists off, so I like that part of it. So I want to be involved, and I want to find a way for conservatives to support efforts of people who are being held back by these nasty hyenas. So if we can be a part of getting them out there and supporting their individual needs and freedom, I'm all for it. And so that's why I'm bringing them in tonight to talk about that, because you know what? I got to talk a little bit about my day. You know, typically I say we should talk about something important and global, but this has just been too damn funny. So someone, Dave out there, nominated me for a Shorty Award for being an activist. Now, at first I thought, well, I'm really not an activist. I just have a big mouth and I have a good time. And then I realized when I thought about it that I am an activist, and I think most of us are activists. You know, I began as an advocate. I thought to myself, I'm going to make change and I'm going to inform people because they're only doing this because they don't know any better. And I was so naive and learned really quickly that they do it because they don't want to know better. And there is a step between that is a little more, I will call it assertive, although I tend to be aggressive, and that makes you an activist. Well, I was nominated as an activist for a Shorty Award, which I was like, well, that's really cool. I think that would be awesome to be recognized as a conservative voice as an activist. And so the nominations started pouring in because I said, hey guys, this is so awesome. Would you support me? And y'all are so good to me in social media. You really are. You take such good care of me. And you were doing as I asked, and all the tweets were coming through. And there were like 71 nominations in like an hour and a half, which bumped me up to number 4 on the list. Well, suddenly the votes stopped counting. Now, they were on Twitter right in front of me, and as the morning had gone on, I could see the numbers climbing as they happened. So I didn't think it was a caching issue. I didn't think it was a refresh issue. I thought it was a bullshit issue. And so I emailed Shorty and I said, hey, what's going on here? And they wrote me back pretty quickly, which was interesting. And they said, well, there's this algorithm thingy that goes on to make sure people don't fix it. And, you're probably just getting caught in algorithms, and we don't take every nomination we get, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. So there's a magical algorithm out there keeping me from getting the people who want to vote for me. Okay, cool, great. What is the algorithm based on? Well, I didn't get a response about the algorithm. And then I said, you know what? I just saw 30 people come through my timeline and say they nominated me. Please explain to me what's going on. And then she makes this big deal on her end that she's going to clear their cache. She's cleared their cache, this magical clear cache. And like almost 50 nomination votes showed up, bumping me to number 3. Fascinating, isn't it? How magically that happened. Now, I will tell you, as an activist, I am not quiet about these things. There's a reason people are activists. We're not quiet. And so I went right into Twitter and I said, man, this is weird. All these things are happening and I'm not seeing them show up in my vote totals and blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Well, in doing all of this, I made the radar of a couple feminists, hyenas out there, which was really funny. Since getting on the radar, I have been nominated for a fame whore twice, which I thought was great. I'm going to get that tattooed on my arm, fame whore. I think that'd be awesome. And like one was a fake account, one was a comedian. I don't think they'll allow bitch on there, but that would have been awesome. If I get a shorty word for being a bitch, I would totally do that any day. But it was really interesting to see the reaction. And here's the thing, guys, looking at who Shorty has already nominated, because they nominate their own people for social media. Oh, and if you don't know what Shorty is, my bad, guys. Shorty looks at all social media, and they recognize different categories of people, and they present them with awards. And the category that I've been nominated in, predominantly, besides fame whore, is activist. And so I'm looking at the other activists, and the activists that Shorty has decided to recognize already, there are 2 Muslims, Black Lives Matter, and then a wild card. And then the ones ahead of me were, against suicide, which is great. I'm against suicide. Then some guy with a paper bag on his head who only speaks Spanish, and some lovely Black woman who is all about animals and loving animals and animal safety. And that's all well and good, right? And here comes a nomination for an activist kill a rabbit. And my whole piece is about kicking ass and taking names and reminding us about what freedom really is and about individual liberty. I don't really fit in with these touchy-feely types, right? I mean, these people are like, oh, save the trees. And I'm like, kill those bitches for messing with us. I mean, that is the difference in the activism. And so really, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to figure out, how does a conservative fit, right? How does a conservative fit in activism? Because, they're all talking about the downtrodden. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to talk about some homeless guy pissing in an alley. That's not what I'm activating. That's not me. My whole point of being an activist is getting out there and reminding the country what it's supposed to be about and getting back there. I'm not out there chaining myself to trees. I'm not singing Kumbaya. I'm not braiding anyone's hair. That is not who I am. And looking at the differences, I'm reading these biographies. Of course, Black Lives Matter is really interesting, of course, because they have done a ton of stuff. I will give them that. They have a tremendous social media presence. They have done a lot in social media for being activists. But I'm looking at these messages and heal the world and kumbaya, and mine says picking up people and bopping them on the head, and I have a chainsaw. It was really actually a lot of fun looking at that. It gave me a giggle which I really needed, guys, because it has been an interesting, odd week. It started out with the death of Bossy Monica. If you guys are on Twitter, if you're not, please get on Twitter, get out from underneath your rock, because you should be there. I'm sorry, it is one of the best ways to connect with people you don't know. It is a great way to connect with people you agree with and disagree with, which is a great thing. But earlier this week, last week, if you follow Bossy Monica, she had 70,000 followers in social media. Monica was a force, I guess that's what we'll call her. She was one of the first people that I followed on Twitter. I give her a lot of credit for being who I am today, for having followed her and watched her and learned from her. And she fell last week, had a pretty nasty fall, and in falling, a few days later succumbed to her injuries and she passed away. Now, losing Bossy Monica, beyond feeling horrible for her family, there is this huge loss for a lot of conservatives in social media. It has been an interesting week watching people come together. We actually were able to trend her name because her family came on and they said, you know, you need to know she's passed away, but you followers, you all meant so much to her. And I think what we were doing in turn was reminding them of how much she meant to us. So on my show tonight, I want to spend a little bit of time honoring Monica for everything she did for the conservative movement, everything she did for this evil rabbit. Because when I first got on there, I was terrified. And some guy told me to die in a fire. And I thought that was it for me because, oh my gosh, you know, he thinks I should die. And now I just giggle at that stuff. But Monica was an inspiration, guys. You know, she took a lot of flack. And that's just part of being a conservative woman. We take a lot of flack. And that's, I think that's part of why we're such hard asses, is we take a lot, but we give it back. But Monica was a lot different. Monica was able to be clever and witty, but she never really got mean. You know, I get mean. I own that. I can be a real nasty bitch. I own it. It's okay. But she didn't have to do that because everything she did was almost regal. I don't know. Her Avi photo was beautiful. It was trees, and the trees formed a lovely face. And every time you saw her, you knew it was her. And since her passing, so many conservatives have put that as their Avi to honor her. So she's all over Twitter, even though she's really not there. So for me, I just want to take a moment on my show tonight to have a moment of silence. I know that's really hard for me, but I'm going to be quiet for just a few minutes to honor Monica and her passing. So this moment of silence is for you, Monica. And that is a long time to be quiet on the radio. Monica, we miss you and we love you. There is a hole in Twitter, but never forget, you are in all of our hearts. And as long as you're on our hearts, you're not going anywhere, lady. Yeah, that's the kind of week it's been. Losing a friend in social media, getting nominated for being an activist, being attacked by said feminazis for being nominated. And the reason that came up with me, too, is some nasty people out on social media, and you know who you are, have been attacking Monica in death. The woman has passed away, and what does the left do? The left acts like the left. And you would not believe the horrible things they have said about Monica. You know, Monica was not shy about the fact that she supported Israel, and she was very direct about no amnesty, and she just was a conservative. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. And people have attacked her for being racist. They have attacked her and said she's a bigot. They have said she got what was coming to her. You know, and I hate to support drama in social media because it does take away from our message. But that is an important part of what we're dealing with ugly people who will go after a lady who has passed away, who cannot defend herself. So a lot of us have stepped in and defended her, and we're way meaner than Monica ever was. You know, I made a joke to my husband. I said, God forbid I pass away too early because the amount of hate on Twitter will probably blow it up, that I'm gone. They'll be so glad that dumb bitch is gone that they will blow up Twitter because I'm 3 times meaner than lovely Monica was. And yeah, so if it was me, can you imagine? Oh boy. Yeah. So anyway, I had to have a light moment on that. I'm going to take a short break. And when I come back, I do have this week's top 10 douchebags. So stay put.
You're on the 405.
Hey, are you conservative in the world of liberal?
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah! Well, you're not the only one. I'm Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice. Each week, I'll bring you the events, and together we'll learn about how they affect you. So sit back and get ready to laugh and cry your way through the good, the bad, and the ugly of talk radio. Every Thursday night at 11 o'clock Eastern, right here on the 405.
Remember, the bigger they are,
I am, remake.
Unapologetically, buddy!
If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan.
This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear a Barack Obama speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, and on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern and 11 Central here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
Welcome to the face. Welcome to the face of the new democracy.
And we are back, and we are Unapologetically Bunny live on the 405. And I'm reading through the chat. Y'all are some funny people out there. Someone says it is about time to open the bag of douche. Wow, that was gross, but funny. Thank you. And you're absolutely right. It is time for this week's top 10 douchebags. Now, as many of you know who have been listening, and if you haven't, shame on you. But if you have been listening, you know that the top 10 douchebags come from the good people in social media who send me their nominations every week when I ask for them. Sometimes we'll pop one in ourselves here at Unapologetically Bunny, but 9 times out of 10, they come from you good people who have pissed you off. So, getting started, at number 10 is fans of The Daily Show crying over Jon Stewart leaving. Oh, lordy, Jon Stewart is leaving. Oh, it's the end of the world. Yeah, I'm all torn up inside. You know, I got to tell you, and I think it was, I want to give her credit, and it will come to me later. A good friend said something along the lines of, you guys realize Jon Stewart has writers. You know, he's not up there making this stuff up as he goes, like we do on the radio. He has a teleprompter, and someone else who's smarter and funnier than he is has written this stuff. And, so it'll still be the same content. It just won't be the same dude doing the content. So it's not going anywhere. And I realize many on the left get their news from Jon Stewart because that's just who they are. But I promise you can get your laughs on MSNBC just as easily. And y'all are douchebags at number 10. Number 9 is Vice President Joe Biden for saying he missed his old butt buddy from Iowa. Wow. You know, I will tell you, on the radio, I have sometimes said some stupid things. I have gotten talking and maybe forgotten what I was saying. But I have never said, I can't wait to talk to my butt buddy so-and-so. You know, no, it's really funny. And, you know, in my brain, I was combining some things he said before because, yeah, it's funny. The whole, I miss my butt buddy, they'll put y'all on chains. And some other people were doing the, what was it? The pew pew and my butt buddy, because the butt buddy is just really probably the funniest damn thing on the planet from a vice president of all things. We know he says stupid things. The man told a guy in a wheelchair to stand up. You know, we know he's not bright, but using the term butt buddy, yeah, that's bad for even Vice President Joe Biden. And he's a douchebag at number 9. Number 8 is Sally Cohn. I know, guys, she keeps making the list, but she keeps saying stupid shit, so this is what happens. Sally Cohn for her comments on Islamophobia after the 3 Muslims were killed in North Carolina. Forget the reports that the gunman said that he was killing them over a parking space, and we don't know if he's telling the truth or not. He could actually just hate people who have religion. But here's the thing. The dude was an atheist or an anti-theist. Let's call him an anti-theist because there are plenty of good atheists out there who don't hate religion. They just don't believe in God. And they don't care if you believe in God or not. It's not their problem. They just don't. So let's call this man an anti-theist. He hated religion. So if he didn't kill them over a parking space, he killed them because of a religion, not because they were Muslims. You know, it could have been any religion because he hated all of them. So it was not Islamophobia, and I hate this word, I can't even say it. It was not Islamophobia. It was not Christian phobia. It was not Jewophobia. He was a crazy bastard and killed people. Let's talk about who he was. He was whacked out, nuts, and hated people. And let's not forget that he was a leftist anti-theist. Boy, the media has really been trying to tie him into conservatives and religious people, but boy, howdy, he's just not. And I think that's really funny. So, Sally Cohn, and your comments about Islamophobia and exploiting a situation to prove your lackadaisical and false agenda, you are a douchebag at number 8. At number 7, this person wrote, I'd like to nominate the MSM for your D-bag list for blaming American Sniper for the Chapel Hill shooting. Are you kidding me? I get it, lefties. I get that you hate our military. I get that you hate that we have an American hero who is not your president. I understand that you have a problem with this. I understand you're big-ass babies and you can't deal with the reality of war. But this is absolutely repugnant. To blame a movie for 3 people losing their lives in North Carolina. Wow, that's low even for you guys. And you do a lot of nasty stuff. So for me to say that, that speaks a lot about what you're doing here. So at number 7, MSM, as usual, you are a douchebag. Number 6 is Howard Dean. I wanted to yell like Howard Dean, but I don't want to hurt you guys. Howard Dean, for asking how well educated Scott Walker is. Hey, Howard, how well educated is Obama? Hey, let's go that route. You know, guys, I have been talking about Scott Walker since 2010. I have been pushing him as a conservative leader for a long time. And I know he's not perfect. I know things are coming up. Well, what about this budget thing? What about this amnesty thing? I get all that. But here's what I think about Scott Walker. The man has beat the unions. I mean, Wisconsin is not like this little red state. They're not even purple, guys. They are blue. And he went in there and he took it to the unions and he beat Democrats 3 times in 4 years. That scares the hell out of them. You know it does. And if we can do that nationally, they're done. They're done. And so that's my guy. So clearly, Howard Dean has a problem. Howard Dean's worried. So Howard Dean wants to talk about his education. I tell you what, Howard, I'm happy to talk about Scott Walker's education. If you're happy to talk about Obama's education, let's have a chat. I'm good with that, Howard, but you're still a douchebag at number 6. Number 5 is Kanye West. Yeah, for once again, acting like a jackass at the Grammys. Can they not block this dude? Can they not say, you know what, he's been a real pain in the ass. Let's just not let him in anymore. And as for Beyonce, again, wasn't it Beyonce the first time? It was, what was it, Taylor Swift one or something? And he said, I'm going to let you finish. Well, now Beck wins, and he again is bitching that it's not Beyonce. If I was Beyonce, I would be kind of creeped out, to be honest with you, because that's a little bit weird, and he's just absolutely obnoxious. So sorry, Kanye, I'm not going to let you finish, and you're a douchebag at number 5. At number 4, did you guys see this in the news? The IRS has been nominated because they are giving illegals refunds, even though they've never paid taxes. Think about that for a minute. Hello, criminal. Welcome to our country. And here's a refund. What? I'm sorry. Are you? No, I don't understand that. You know, we are looking at the IRS. It was targeting conservatives to keep us from having a voice in that election. And now they're giving people who have never paid taxes a refund. Interesting. Why would they do that? I don't know. I got to think about that, right? Right? Yeah, I'm sorry. And I know it's tax season. They're probably listening and I'll probably get audited. But whatever. IRS, you guys are douchebags at number 4. At number 3 is Sheila Jackson Lee and DWS, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, for attending the Grammys because, come on, they're for the little people. They're for the little people. Oh, y'all are so poor. I'm going to the Grammys. Sheila was awfully dressed up for a recently freed slave. Yeah, I'm sorry. That makes me laugh. They look beautiful. I mean, I don't, hey, that's great. Look beautiful. You're going to the Grammys. But yeah, she looked great for a recently freed slave. And they are douchebags at number 3. At number 2 is Hugh Jackman. Did you guys see this? Hugh Jackman is an Aussie who thinks guns are bad, okay? Posing for Everytown. Like Liam, another foreigner who has gotten quite wealthy from Americans, talking about taking away our gun rights. I love these foreigners telling Americans about what their rights should and shouldn't be. Yeah, so shut up, guys, and just make some movies. And you are douchebags at number 2. Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, I got you, as always. Out of respect for the office of the president, he has been nominated for the number 1 douchebag of the week. Obama for the BuzzFeed video where he's in the mirror making funny faces, as some dumb white kid makes the same funny faces. And I get it. He's showing that he's connected to young people, that he's human, blah, 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 that he's hip, that he's funny. He's a president. He's not supposed to be hip and funny, damn it. And you know what's really interesting is, Bibi and all the world leaders are laughing their asses off at him. How scary is this dude in the mirror? We better take him seriously when it comes to global affairs. Yeah, so he is a douchebag. At number 1, I do have an honorable mention of Brian Williams. A lot of you nominated him, but it's really for the same thing. I don't think he told any lies in the last week since we've been on the air. He could have, I don't know. But he has not been doing anything new that's wrong. So I'm going to give him an honorable mention. It says Brian Williams for spouting about the million things he never actually did. Oh, and of course, he's only being suspended for 6 months for doing that, but that's really more on NBC than him. And there you are with your top 10 douchebags of the week. Phew. You guys, you send me some great stuff. A lot of that makes me laugh when I get it, so thank you. I don't take enough time at the end of that to say thank you for those nominations, because without your nominations, I wouldn't have a top 10 list. And you really are such a big part of the show and making it fun. So thank you so much for being a part of that. I'm going to take a break. When I come back, we're going to be talking Gamergate with Ash and DaddyWarpig, so stay tuned.
On the 405.
A show that will change internet radio as you know it.
Here come the spy dolphins.
I sold my food stamp money for Doritos and wheat.
I call them the Mary-Kate and Ashley of outrage.
Bras are completely racist. End all bras.
A show that is different from those that aren't so different. Real serious nonsense. Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on the 405. Oh. Obama, Obama, oh, oh. Obama, Obama, oh, oh. Obama, Obama, oh, oh. Obama, Obama.
This here's that new hit, Michelle Obama, the floatist. This one's for the middle class. This term's my last. I got work, you see. Free community college and roads to fix in the city. Got vacation days to use up, and damn, my golf shot's pretty. I'm too hot. Hot damn. Climate change has got me on fire, man. I'm too hot. Hot damn. Teabaggers call me a liar, man. I'm too hot. Hot damn. Hope and change, you know who I am. I'm too hot. Hot damn. And the redistribution of money, check it out. Tax increase, hallelujah. Woo! Tax increase, hallelujah. Woo! Tax increase, hallelujah. Woo! Obama bunk's gonna stick it to you. Obama bunk's gonna stick it to you. Obama bunk's gonna stick it to you. My massive spending will never stop. Don't believe me, just watch. Let me be clear. I'll say it again. Republicans, don't believe me, just watch.
I feel pretty.
Don't make her angry. You wouldn't like it when she's told you.
Unapologetically bunny.
And we are back from break. Thank you for staying put. You are an Unapologetically Bunny with the Bunny. In this half hour, we're going to be talking about Gamergate. Now, if I haven't broken my Skype, I have both Ash and DaddyWarpig on the line. Are you guys there?
Yes, yes I am.
Yay! I didn't break it. This is such a good day. Oh, I'm so glad. Hi, guys. How are you tonight?
Same as always.
Is that good or bad?
It depends on who you are.
I gotcha. Ash, are you there?
I am here in all my soft puppet glory.
I'm so glad you guys are here. Thank you so much. I was admitting to how dense I am about this topic earlier in the show. I'm often very honest about how little I actually know. So thank you for being here. Now, I know we talked a little bit about doing some background, talking about some goals, and then Ash talking about some things that even we're moving into Common Core and such things like that. You know, of course, you're both welcome to talk about whatever you'd like to bring up. But Ash, would you mind giving the audience a little background on what Gamergate is, how it started, and where it's at right now?
Okay. I've tried really hard to make it easy for people not in the gaming community or not gamers at all. And I'm going to just really briefly explain it. But for any of your listeners who want to learn more, there is a wiki about Gamergate. It's wiki.gamergate.me. It's a great resource, and it has a timeline so they can see really all the corruption. I'm going to just paraphrase.
Okay.
Gamergate is about, and it stands against, unethical practices in gaming journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were just talking about Brian Williams, we all know unethical journalism is nothing new.
No.
But the gaming world has been suffering for a while with reviews that didn't really match the quality of the games. And we actually, in August, just had our version of an Archduke Ferdinand situation happening when a programmer named Iran Goshni released a post about his bad breakup with his indie developer girlfriend, Zoe Quinn.
Oh.
And anybody who pays attention to Gamergate has heard the name Zoe Quinn.
Yes.
Yeah, most of them have.
I know enough to be stupid about it. That's really about it. So really, you're talking about ethics in journalism. Now, I didn't realize, and I'll be honest, as I'm not a gamer, I really wouldn't pay attention probably to the reviews coming out about games. So what is happening in these reviews that is not ethical?
Well, really what's coming out, and this is part of it, is we would have these reviews that would say, oh, this game is fantastic. And then we would play the game and be like, well, that game really sucked, you know? And one of the ones that happened is with this Zoe Quinn. She had a game called Depression Quest, and I'm sorry, it was a horrible game. I'm sorry for listening, Zoe. It really sucked to me.
Hey,
and we would have
that bothers me, because if my show sucks, tell me it sucks and I get better. This is the reality of it. Is if your ego is that tiny, get out of it. You can't deal with it. So don't apologize,
Exactly.
Zoe. If it sucked, it sucked.
Yeah, it sucks. But she got a lot of good reviews for it. So what happened is we saw in this post that her ex-boyfriend did is that he listed several people that she was having an affair with.
Oh,
and
wow.
we don't care about the infidelity or their relationship issues, which they apparently had plenty of.
Yeah.
We cared about, on that list were lots of journalists that are for big publications. One of them is Nathan Grayson, who writes for Kotaku. And he had given that Depression Quest game really favorable reviews. Oh. And like I said, they weren't warranted favorable reviews.
So they weren't really reporting on the game, they're reporting on the chick.
Pretty much.
Gotcha.
And this whole scandal, it just blew up in the gaming world. And for the week after that post came out, message boards were being flooded with people talking about it. And what really set a lot of people to being angry was those same message boards started censoring that conversation. They started deleting a lot of threads about it. And in the gaming world, message boards, that's a really center to our communication with each other.
That's how you
so
guys
having that,
right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's where we talk. They chant it, came out on SVU last night. They have the Red Channel or whatever. It's like the Reddit and the 4chan, all these message boards combined. But they were all censoring it. And the more they censored, the more we would discover more journalists doing what Nathan Grayson had done.
Wow.
Having these, whether it was a sexual relationship or they were friends in college, whatever, different types of relationships that they weren't being very forward about when they would give these gaming reviews.
Wow.
And as more information came out, more and more of it got censored. And after about 9 days of all of this chaos is when Anita Sarkeesian came out with her video about games sexually objectifying women.
Oh, God.
And that's really what brought in this narrative of gamers are misogynists.
Yeah.
And
join the club.
Right,
we're all misogynists. Don't you know that? Because, if you don't think like they do, if you don't agree with their agenda, you're a misogynist or you're an evil woman or a second-class citizen. So they were censoring you guys on your message boards. Who was doing the censoring?
moderators
Everybody.
on the message board. Yeah, everybody. Like Daddy says, everybody.
Are they admins? Because
There was literally 3 sites that were not censoring people, and those are the sites that people fled to. One was Twitter, one was an anonymous message board called HN, and one was the Escapist gaming magazine. But, and this is the suspicious thing, every other major gaming site that exists censored these posts and shut them down all in concert with each other, and that is absolutely unprecedented for these sites whose fans are normally at each other's throats to all of a sudden take action. Even a site called 4chan, which allows anything that is legal, even 4chan, censored.
That is unbelievable to me, guys. And I abhor censorship, so that bothers me on principle alone. I think what is missing for a lot of people is we forget how prominent gaming is in our society. And that Gamergate is not just about this little group of people. It really it inundates the entire country, doesn't it? The world.
It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's a huge industry. And to have this level of censorship, I mean, Daddy was talking about how all these groups got together at once to censor, and a really big, I think what really set off Gamergate, which that was coined, not at the beginning, that was coined like about 2 weeks after all this controversy started by Adam Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
But what really set off everything was on August 28th, and this is called the Gamers Are Dead articles. There was, I want to say, 8 major publications, 11 different articles on different publications, blogs, and financial posts, I believe was one, that had all the same message. And it would all come out the same day. And that message was gamers are sexist, they're misogynist, that gamer identity is dead. Gamers don't have to be your consumer. And it was that same message on so many different articles on the same day that just set up this red flag. And what we found out later was there's an inside mailing list called Game Journals Pros. And it's a secretive mailing list to basically blackball and send out narrative to the gaming publications. And that's really what set off so many of the gaming community, where Gamergate really took off in September because of this. Because it was an outrage.
That's crazy. And I guess I don't understand what the benefit is of keeping you guys from talking to each other. I don't get it. Are they trying to make sure only certain games are getting notoriety? Are they making sure that you guys buy only certain games? What do they get out of taking away your voice?
Well, if I can jump in.
Go ahead.
What originally happened is when people started talking about this Zoe post, about the developer Zoe Quinn, it really upset a large number of people who, they're generally called social justice warriors by others. They themselves don't use that term.
The hyenas. I call them hyenas. Yeah, go ahead.
They got angry, really, really angry, and very, very offended that people were talking about this. And so we have these emails. They literally got together on this Game Journal Pros email list and said, this is abusive, this is wrong, this is revenge porn. But no pictures were involved, by the way. They're just calling his
No,
post
I know
revenge porn.
I know who these people are. And that's ridiculous.
That's what the censorship was meant to be, is to shut down all discussion of this and therefore prevent anyone from ever discussing it ever again.
And no one talked about the behavior of the person being talked about as being wrong. It was about, we don't talk about it. You're a misogynist for bringing it up. She's not a bad person for doing what she did, or he's not. They don't talk about the behavior. They talk about how people react to the behavior. And you all are misogynists because of it.
Yes.
Well, I'm a man because of it.
Are you really? Me too. You know how many times I've been called a dude? I've started checking. I think I have a prostate issue. No, they do. And this is where I started noticing it. I'll be honest, I am completely dense about video games. My son is 7. He knows more than I do. I own that. But what I started seeing in social media were the same women who were giving me a hard time, and they're mainly women, although there are plenty of men, well, I guess they're men, giving me a hard time for being a conservative lady. I saw them giving you guys the same hard time. So I immediately wanted to understand why. Why were they attacking a community of people? And so really it was because one of them got caught being a hooch and they didn't want to talk about it. Is that really what it boils down to?
Well, I think part of
That's
it
what
is,
started it.
and you know this, that's what started it, but they have a narrative. They want to push it. And anyone who doesn't fit that narrative, because their narrative for Gamergate is young, white man. And anyone who doesn't fit that, and it's kind of like that with conservatives,
yeah.
If you don't fit that, they will attack you. I mean, there's a whole group called Not Your Shield that's like a sister group to Gamergate.
Yeah,
and
who are these people?
People who are not young white men saying, hey, we're not your shield, stop using us as supporting your narrative.
I love
and
that.
Those people who are part of Not Your Shield are the ones I think get attacked the most.
Wow.
I mean,
well, and I'll
today,
tell you.
Jezebel's article
yeah.
and all their readers, they quoted me, and all their readers today are calling me a man. And I've been dealing with that all day, getting trolled.
Ash, I'm
it's
sorry.
Just something. Oh, girl, you know I get worse.
I know. I've seen your thread. I've jumped in. I know you can hold your own, but I get so tired of it. And it's part of it is because, and not to whine, but I spent the entire day being called a fame whore and all kinds of fun things because of a nomination as being an activist. God forbid I'm a woman and I'm not a feminist who's an activist. Because that makes me, I'm a man or I'm a misogynist. DaddyWarpig, you talked a little bit about some goals, and I think I would like to give you a moment, if you don't mind. We have a little background. What are you trying to accomplish now in this movement? What are you trying to move toward?
Well, I spent the first 3-4 weeks listening to everybody the first 3 or 4 weeks I was involved, listening to everybody in Gamergate. And out of that, I distilled what seemed to be 3 common goals that everyone had shared. First one of which is we want media outlets to implement professional ethics and enforce professional ethics policies, such as the Society of Professional Journalism's Code of Ethics.
Mm-hmm.
There are other code of ethics for other industries, like there's an entirely separate one for food magazines talking about how to do ethical reviews. And if they wanted to take in some of that material or just write their own, whatever it is, as long as it was satisfactory and it was actually enforced, we'd be fine with it. That's our number one concern.
Sure.
The number 2 goal is we want games media to stop abusing their customers.
No way. Are you serious? Come on. That seems like a really big one. They should be nice to people who give them money. Surely you jest. Are you kidding me?
The response to that directly to me, to one of those tweets was, you're not our customers, you're our product. That was a journalist who said that.
Wow.
Hi, Leigh Alexander.
Who said it? Tell me again.
Leigh Alexander. Sorry. Continue,
so you guys aren't consumers. You don't give them money. Your product.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then the third one is don't push politics in news or reviews.
Get out of here. They do that? That shocks me. Really. Wow.
A lot of Games Journal Post emails were them discussing how to boost or give positive publicity to games who are either made by friends of theirs or sexual partners, whatever, and then how to blacklist and shut out games that were made by people, either the content of the game offended them politically or the people themselves offended them politically. And so
offensive. Wow. There's some really thin-skinned people that you guys are dealing with here, is what it sounds like to me. So you guys would like the journalists to be ethical. You would like them to respect their customers, and you'd like them to keep politics out of what they're doing. Pretty simple.
Although I should point out, strictly for accuracy's sake, that those 3 goals, a couple of them are being slowly obviated as both people in Gamergate and those without have begun setting up alternate venues. And so it's no longer an issue of us petitioning magazines that we have loved for years and we've been reading for years. In my case, 15 years. I've been reading the same journal that turned out to be part of this.
Wow.
But they've been setting up new sites, alternate sites, or even founding them ourselves to just start producing ethical coverage of games that those they used to be. So now we will. We're replacing them. If we will not reform, we're going to replace.
This is great. And here's the thing, and I know we talked a little bit about how does this overlap with conservatives? I know you guys were talking about why isn't the conservative media a little paying more attention? You say something so smart there. You say, if you're not going to do it the right way, we're going to do it for you. And that is really the new media. That's what you see in the grassroots. It's what you see with like Andrew Breitbart and anybody who's out there flapping their gums. It's the same thing. We got tired of looking at media and not being represented, being misrepresented. Republicans or conservatives are all old, rich, white dudes. We got tired of it. And so people started doing exactly what you guys are doing, and that is creating our own resources.
Yeah, I myself am officially apolitical. I don't have an announced political position, and I don't discuss or debate.
You're smart.
Don't discuss or debate politics. I'll discuss some facts, but generally speaking, I avoid political issues. But at the same time, I recognize that the motivations behind a lot of this are political.
Yes.
And so even though for me it was a fight to preserve ethics and a fight to preserve freedom of speech in the gaming industry, and that's something that I've mentioned till now, but I'll do it very, very short.
Go ahead.
Very, very quickly. These same journalists were also organizing and heaping pressure on developers to make them, when they made games, conform to a list of ideological, to a checklist of ideological concerns. That if they didn't, they would get destroyed by the media.
So what kind of, do you know what kind of I can't say the word, what kind of concerns they had with what they were developing? What were they demanding?
Well, they were demanding basically, again, this is social justice warriors. They didn't like how many women were main characters. They didn't like the races or sexual orientation of the characters. They didn't like how, don't like violence. If a woman is hurt or in danger, then that's called the damsel in distress. But if she's out there kicking ass and doing great, and that there's another term for it that I can't repeat on the show.
Sure you can.
They call that trope the fighting fuck toy.
The fighting fuck toy. So either they're a damsel in distress or a fighting. So either way, the woman loses in their mind. Either you can't take care of yourself or you're some sex thing.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And developers were being required to submit to these political demands under the threat of bad publicity. And so, and that was something that came out later than I made that original list, was we didn't realize at the beginning we were also fighting for freedom of speech, freedom of creativity, artistic freedom in the gamer community. We didn't know that this was that big, that it isn't just journalists, but there are academics involved, there are developers involved, corporations who own development studios. There are people who are embedded in an independent gamer association, the IGDA, Independent Games Developer Association, who are also part of this coterie of people who are all friends, who all share the same political beliefs, and who are all pushing people in that direction.
So,
we didn't know there were judges for gaming festivals that were also involved.
This is unbelievable.
It was a very, very huge story of corruption, and nobody was reporting on it until we started causing a mess, and then the emails were leaked to Milo Yiannopoulos over on Breitbart.com.
Sure.
And he was the first person to write about it.
That's good. Well, and I think you mentioned one of the organizations, and I can't, because you mentioned several, and I'm blonde and can't keep track. But you talked about, I made a list. There was a block list by one of them. It was the IDG, whatever it was. They had like 10,000 people on this automatic block list that they put out. And I was on this list. I have never interacted with people at that point. Now I have. But at the time, I had never really been involved with Gamergate. I've pissed a lot of feminists off. I mean, I have a badge. I love it. but I had not been involved in Gamergate, and I made that list. I'm like, I'm number 9,321. Oh my God, who are these people? Now I'm figuring out who these people are.
It's just because you follow me.
Because I followed you.
Serious. It was that poorly programmed, and I won't say who programmed it because she hates me so much.
Oh, well.
But it was that poorly programmed that if you followed me, you are on that list.
And here I thought they just hated me because it was me. Damn it, Ash, come on. Let it be about me. But now they hate me. It's true.
You're not the only person who ended up on that list accidentally. Actor Taye Diggs ended up on that list accidentally.
He follows me, just FYI.
KFC.
He follows me.
Kentucky Fried Chicken ended up on the list accidentally. And IGDA named these people some of the worst abusers and harassers on the internet. Everyone on the list.
Yep, that's right. Woohoo.
Which also include Bullying Ranger, whose entire shtick is every 12 or 14 hours they pop up and say, "Don't bully." That's what their account does. They're on Twitter, but they got listed as one of the worst harassers on the internet by the IGDA, and last of all was the chairman of the Puerto Rican IGDA office. They themselves blacklisted one of their own board members.
Oh my gosh.
And he was very upset about it.
I wonder why. Sorry. But these people they're very thin-skinned. They don't seem all that bright to me. How did they get to these positions of any authority? I don't understand enough about the community to understand how they got any authority to begin with. Or do they not have any authority and they just think they do?
It's a mix and match. A lot of these, they're rich. A lot of these are rich kids. These are the sons and daughters of the ones who came before that took a lot of power.
Right.
And they know how to market. I mean, the reason why I brought up Anita Sarkeesian, she can market.
Oh, yeah.
She's not the brains behind the operation. It's a guy named Jonathan McIntosh.
Mm-hmm.
But she
I know
can sell
Jonathan.
herself.
I know Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We all know Jonathan.
We all know Jonathan.
He has a hashtag for stupidity.
He has a bigger vagina than I do. You know, I'm sorry, that was mean. She do like a whole piece on Christmas carols being sexist. Is that her too?
That was her.
Oh,
yeah.
She's so charming.
And I share that.
She's so charming. Okay, so we have a bunch of people who don't want us to have video games with sexy women in them, or women who are damsels in distress. So they were complaining about races of people. How did they know people were gay or straight in video games?
Unless it was specifically mentioned in the game and or in background material or interviews. Mostly that came up in role-playing games if there was some opportunity to engage in romance with a gay character. That's the only way you would really know. But it still upset them that there weren't characters who were openly, defiantly gay.
Okay, so they have certain ideas that need to be in video games, and since they were not there, video games were misogynistic and bad, and the people who liked them were also bad. Am I following you the right way here?
No, that's pretty much it.
So I know we talked a little bit about this, and I want to spend a little time on how can conservatives help? Because a lot of us, we really do believe in that whole individual liberty, freedom of speech, freedom of idea. How do we help you with your message? How do we help support you in what you're doing? How can I help?
I
think just getting the message out there.
Okay. And go ahead, Daddy, I heard you.
Actually, I was going to say what she just said, but in a more direct fashion. Not just getting the message out there. The difficulty I see when dealing with conservatives is that, and I have dealt directly with conservatives on this specific issue.
Sure.
I don't know if you, and it seems like many conservatives break down into people who don't care about this struggle because they don't play video games. They don't care about video games.
Okay.
And you can't make them. And at the same time, I understand because there's a lot of things going on and you can't really be upset about everything. I get that. I understand that. You have a life, you have a job, you have a family, and you can't be upset about everything you're already involved in.
Sure.
Whatever, party politics, Tea Party, whatever. I get that. I understand that. I do.
That's
but at the same time, a lot of conservatives also have this open contempt for video games and for people who play video games.
Right.
Which anytime this subject comes up, they display that.
Sure.
Most people involved in Gamergate are liberal or progressive. There are also a sizable number of libertarians and a few conservatives. It does not sneering at games, acting like they're irrelevant, like they're meaningless, like they're toys that only defective, lazy adults play.
Yeah.
Is not, if that's their opinion, it's not a helpful opinion, and moreover, it's wrong.
It's not accurate, not at all.
It's not accurate, exactly.
I'll agree with you that, and I will be honest, because as I see myself, I'm kind of a conservatarian. A lot of them don't like me either. It's okay. I see totally, because I understand that when you broach a subject some people aren't comfortable with, they can be very judgmental within the party, and I know they have preconceived ideas. And I don't. My bigger thing is I don't care if it's a video game or a magazine or you're on Twitter or you're painting a picture. If someone is trying to control your message and tell you what you can and cannot say and tell you what you can and cannot create, that is the problem. I don't care what the medium is. I don't care. What I care about is that you're being held back by someone else's ideals, and that's wrong.
I mean,
and that's really what this is about. We all have a mutual enemy here. And that enemy is, if you want to look at the 4 quadrangles or whatever you want to call it, the political leaning, it's this authoritarian left. It's really how these SJWs identify.
Yeah.
These politically correct pirate Nazis. I'll just say it.
Yay! I was going to say it, but you didn't. I love you. That's awesome. No, they are. They're horrible. They're nasty people. They really are.
And they all mean this way. And if you look, like Daddy was saying, all across Gamergate, not a lot of people in Gamergate associate with that group, or if they did, now they're a little bit more libertarian.
Yeah.
Because it's this authoritarian left that's really out to stop us. And
they always think they know better. That is that authoritarian left is, well, you're just too stupid to know you're doing things that are wrong. Let us protect you and fix you. That's what they're doing.
I have never in my life have I ever interfaced with as many people who were so thoroughly smug. And I'm not talking about reading their articles. I'm talking about directly conversing with them on Twitter.
Yeah.
These are the smuggest group of people. The reporters and editors I've interacted with are the smuggest group of people I've ever met. I've just been shocked. I did not know people like that existed in large numbers.
They do. And unfortunately, and I'll tell you, that's not just the authoritarian left. You will have smug on the right. That is not just one side.
Oh, sure.
But I will tell you that, and I have never been as shocked. I'll get there right with you, Daddy. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you I'm stupid in their eyes. Well, you don't even know any better. So you just need to shut up and do as you're told. And that is that authoritarian. That is far left. That is, don't think for yourself. Do as you're told. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself and someone else. It's ridiculous.
This is going to sound like a brag. This is not a brag. This is just
brag. It's okay. Brag. I brag. It's good. Brag.
I graduated from university with a degree in radio and print journalism.
Wow.
I worked for a radio station on the air. I worked for like 3 different newspapers doing reviews and opinion columns. And no, I haven't worked, and I learned the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics in class. This is something they teach reporters. This is something they teach journalists. And so I know real journalism. I know real newspapers and the inverted pyramid style and how to take something from the AP and chop it off and stick it on the page. I learned all that stuff.
Real journalism. There are rules.
Yeah,
there are rules.
And I'm dealing with these people, and they're sneering at me, telling me that I don't know anything about journalism. Even after I tell them some information, show them the SPJ Code of Ethics, they act like I'm an idiot who's completely ignorant about everything in the world.
Yep.
just because I disagree with them politically.
That's right. Welcome to, not to be poor me, but welcome to my world, Daddy. Because I tell you what, you know, I'm a theater kid. My degree is in theater. Yay. I'm artistic, whatever. But I talk about things and I know a lot about certain issues. But the moment I disagree, and this is the way with a lot of those social justice wusses, is I disagree with them, so I'm wrong and I'm stupid and I deserve to be destroyed. I need to be destroyed. That's the thing with women. If you're a woman, and Ash, I know you know how this goes. If you don't fall in line, if you don't go to their agenda, you are the enemy, and they will do away with you and they will silence you. I know, Ash, you go through that all the time.
With acid in the face, they will silence you.
Yep. They will do whatever they can to silence you.
If I could put out one specific idea as to why conservatives should care about Gamergate, it would be this.
Yes.
A lot of conservatives, and this is what I saw, Bill Whittle and Andrew Clayton, who I'm assuming the names are familiar with you.
Yes, I am.
They did a video that came out 2 or 3 days ago where they sat down with a couple of people who were not part of Gamergate, who were anti-Gamergate, and talked about the issue. I was kind of disappointed because they never got around to ethics or how it started. They spent the entire time on sexism and people being rude in online matches. And I'm like, those are all distractions. Those are not the actual issue.
Absolutely.
The actual issue is journalists and academics and, you know, people in corporations and people in the gaming associations, they are corrupt. We know this. We have proof. This is indefensible. That's it. That's the issue.
Yep.
They're corrupt. This is indefensible. Everything else is a distraction.
I agree.
So I watched them talking, and I really wished they had had someone on there who knew what they were talking about. But if I could put it to that crowd who doesn't know a lot about games and doesn't care a lot about games, the fact is this: even if you disapprove of games like Grand Theft Auto or other similar games, Postal, whatever.
I love that game, but yeah, go ahead.
And I can understand, looking at their value system, why they would disapprove.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to condemn them or say they're bad people. The fact is, they're only using those games as an excuse to get the power to censor. Because, and they have. They put together a petition to get Grand Theft Auto 5 banned from Target stores in Australia, and they did. And they celebrated it. No, that happened.
I didn't know that happened. Are you kidding me?
Nope. It is banned in Australia.
Why?
In Target stores, yeah.
What did? Okay, I get it.
They lied.
It's clearly for adults. It's not said, "Hey, let your 7-year-old play this." This game is for adults. Do not play it if you're a kid. I mean, that parents make that choice. Unbelievable.
5 minutes, if that much, of footage from Grand Theft Auto to manipulate it, and that's, you know, Sarkeesian's videos. She does that. She takes very small portions of videos and manipulates these games into her narrative.
Well, that is just
and most of the time they're completely absurd. If you've actually played the game, you know it's completely absurd.
Yeah, I don't play games. I suck at it. I'm terrible. My husband makes fun of me. I have played that game, and I thought it was a blast. That was so much fun. Stealing cars and doing bad things was fun because we don't do that in our real lives. Right. Unbelievable. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Daddy. That blew me away. Go ahead.
So that's what they're doing, is they are trying to get these games censored. We have quotes of Jonathan McIntosh from 2011 where he's talking about wanting to censor games. It's not a new thing. And a lot of people on the right will say, well, that's okay, these are bad games. And my point is this.
No, it's not. It's not okay.
They're lying to you to get you on their side, to get you to support banning games you consider bad. And as soon as they get that power, they will turn around, and the very next thing they will censor is something you like.
Absolutely.
Because every single value that the right holds, typically speaking, are part of what Sarkeesian and her cohorts, the SJWs, call rape culture.
Oh, God. You're right.
It's rape culture.
Rape
the
culture.
Bible is rape culture.
Oh, my these people.
Games like Call of Duty that can, in many ways, be considered patriotic. That's rape culture.
How is that rape culture? How is the You know what I'm asking? Because I know this is ridiculous. Men should learn not to rape because you don't know any better, and we should teach boys it's wrong to rape because right now they think it's right to rape. That thinking, I don't understand it, and to see you guys dealing with it in a different way than what I deal with, it just tells me it's across the board. It's not just conservatives. It's not just women. It's anybody they disagree with.
Yes. Even people who are formerly part of their clique, they will turn on you and destroy you, and have. That's happened in science fiction with a controversy called race veil, which is a whole other thing.
Oh, boy.
And so these SJWs, as soon as they get the power to censor a Postal or a Grand Theft Auto 5, they will use that to censor games that conservatives play and conservatives like. There are a lot of conservatives who play video games who aren't necessarily publicly involved in this. I deal with them fairly often. I know them, primarily because of how I got involved in Gamergate. It caught the attention of several right-wing people. But that's the point. They're searching for power. When they get that power, they will use it to censor conservatives as well as people who are middle of the road or left wing.
Anybody.
And no one is safe. They have the power, other than ban books and indies. They have the power in science fiction and fantasy to censor anyone they like, and they do. And you can talk to people who work in science fiction and fantasy to find that out. They have the power almost universally in Hollywood. They have the power in the fashion industry, in magazines. They have the power on television. And you see this. Wherever they have the power, they censor things they don't like.
And this is interesting, and I hate to interrupt you, but I had a porn star on my show, and I know a conservative talking to a porn star, but they do the same to the porn industry. And we had a very similar conversation because, they say, the left is a party of free love, and no, they hate pornography because, women are being used and women are victims and they don't know any better. We had almost this identical discussion with the porn star. She was brilliant. She said, they don't like what we do. They want to shut us down, not because of the sex, but because they don't like that they don't like how women are portrayed in porn. So we don't know anybody. So they're trying to take it away.
Yes.
Same industry. I mean, same thing.
We have a prominent, there's a porn star who's a prominent member of Gamergate. She graduated with an engineering degree and does porn now, and she's part of Gamergate.
That's great. Ruby was brilliant. There's this big misconception that there are these dumb women, and she was brilliant, and they really are smart people, and it's a job, but they want to shut them down just the same way.
They SJW swept across most of culture who surrendered without a fight.
Yeah.
And the only people who have stood up to them successfully and en masse are gamers. And we have stood up to them, and we are standing up to them. And there are over 150,000 gamers directly opposing, even if we're, middle of the road or left wing,
right.
We are directly opposing enemies of conservatism who would do their best to ban conservatism at all, completely, everywhere. We are fighting your enemies for you.
Yes. Go ahead.
And we are giving the fight that is occurring in parallel mediums new strength. People who are fighting SJWs in science fiction and fantasy, using something called Sad Puppies 3, they are seeing a resurgence of interest and hope because of what's happening with Gamergate. So without telling you what to do, I'm telling you, this matters. This struggle matters because we're fighting, we're winning, we're holding on against an onslaught that very few people can imagine except people involved on the right. If you've been in the Tea Party or a supporter of Sarah Palin, you know what media onslaughts are like.
Yeah.
We have been going through that for 6 months. We know what that's like. And we have withstood it, 150,000 of us, and we may not be fighting to vote for right-wing politicians. We may never vote for right-wing politicians. At the same time, we can ally on the issue of freedom of speech because it is absolutely critical for everyone, and that's why this fight matters. Even if you don't care about video games, this fight matters because it's going to be a fight for novels. It's going and is right now a fight for science fiction and fantasy. And someday that may spread to comics or movies or something else you may do care about.
Yeah, in the comic industry, I can completely see that. They have really been pressuring. My husband is a huge comic guy. He collects Golden Age, Silver Age. He has books from before. Then they put the big the rating system in. He knows all those, and he always looks at me and is like, "Look, they've taken away one of the female superheroes. I can't remember her name. They took away her. She has no chest. I mean, originally she was really busty and sexy. Now she is like an A cup in the new drawings." And he's like, what is going on here? Is it so wrong that these women are attractive? And when you said comics, you know what? You're absolutely right as far as working together, because our goals are really the same if you think about it. My whole goal is not, well, please vote for XYZ. My goal is, this country is in trouble. I need your help. Let's work together to make sure we fix it. That's the big thing for me. I don't want censorship. I don't want people telling others how to think and what to say. And I think that's where we connect. And if I can find somebody to lead this country who does the right things, I'm going to say, hey, you might want to look at this person. That's who I am. But ultimately, big picture for me is making sure that we protect that freedom, because that's really all we have.
And it's important to everyone. It's important to everyone on the right. It's important to everyone on the left. It's one of the strongest buttresses against totalitarianism. By the way, that's the one political principle I openly advocate on.
Yes.
Is I have a thoroughgoing and intense hatred for totalitarianism in all its forms. I
agree with you 100%.
I hate it.
I hate it. I hate someone telling me what to think and do and what to say and how to feel, and all of that drives me nuts. And I think what you're going to find is that, you're still going to run into conservatives who are like, video games are stupid, whatever. But you're going to run into people like me who want to get involved, who want to find a way to connect, because there is strength in numbers, and you clearly have the numbers.
We're getting the numbers.
150,000 people is great, you guys. And I can tell you, I have a little bunny army of about 40,000 people who sometimes listen to me. And I'm going to tell them, guys, get involved and listen, because they should be listening. Because we should be working together. We should be finding a way to stop them from telling people what to think and feel and say and do, because that drives nobody crazier than people in my group. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. You guys, I kept you on longer than I promised you I would. I apologize for that. But I really wanted the background, because I feel like, I want to get in this fight, and I don't know enough about it to support and protect and get in there. Now I do, so now they're really in trouble. Do me a favor. Tell people, Ash, I'll start with you. Tell people where they find you in social media so they can follow you and learn more.
All right. I'm Ashley Phoenix at ASHPNX. And right now I'm on Twitter, but I'm starting a blog, so y'all can follow me soon.
Ooh, when you get your blog, please send me the link. I will make sure and share it with everybody. DaddyWarpig, where do we find you?
I have a blog where I do a daily post of geeky stuff. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what I'm going to throw up. One post a day, a little bit of joy to get you through your day. That is at daddywarpig.com.
I love that, daddywarpig.com. I'm Polita Bunny, so I totally dig the pig part of it. So daddywarpig.com, and where do they find you on Twitter?
At daddy_warpig.
And are you anywhere else out in the social media sphere?
I also do a weekly hour-long live podcast on any geeky subject. No controversy, nothing about Gamergate or anything else. It's all fun. Sunday night, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's to relax from the week that you just had that's all stressful, get you ready and loose for the week to come. Again, we talk about comics, movies, TV shows, video games, books, role-playing games, tabletop gaming, anything geekish goes.
Awesome.
The easiest way to find that, it's called Geek Gab, but there's like 2 or 3 of those on YouTube. The easiest way to find it is if you go to daddywarpig.com. On the right-hand side, there's a big sidebar that says, hey, Geek Gab is awesome. You should come and listen. By the way, it is. It is awesome. You should come and listen.
That's awesome. I love it.
It is awesome. I'm just going to vouch for him. It's awesome.
Send me the information, because if you see me on Twitter, I am happy to share your information with my groups of folks. I will send people your way. I can't thank you enough for spending more time than I made you promise me. So thank you so much. You guys are so brave. And I know it sounds silly, but it really is brave when you're standing up to some people who really would destroy you for not agreeing with them. I completely relate. So from the bottom of this evil conservative's heart, I appreciate what you're doing. I am listening. I'm here, and I'm going to work with you. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me on.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Ash, stay out of trouble.
All
Okay,
right,
bye. Thanks, guys. Bye. Oh, okay. So I know y'all noticed in the chat room that, and I see you, and there are also so many of you in there. Thank you for staying put. We ran over a little bit tonight. I knew that we would do that because I kind of figured we might, because the Gamergate people, Ash and DaddyWarpig, they were so amazing, and I just knew they would bring so much information, and I really wanted conservatives to listen to their side of things, because to his point, we really do. There are too many of us who go, oh, really not my problem. It is all of our problem. And so, guys, thanks for hanging in there and listening. I tell you what, I guess I'm just taking a break because I'm going to be sitting in tonight for Angie. She's not feeling great, so I'm going to sit in and hang out with Pointless Pole. We're going to take a little break here with the station, and then we'll be back with real serious nonsense. So keep your asses in the seats, and we'll be right back. Talk to you shortly.
Non, je ne regrette rien, ni le bien qu'on m'a fait, ni le mal, tout ça m'est bien égal. Non, rien de rien.